So I just saw one of the craziest TVs at CES, but nobody did have it, at least not for years. So meet Samsung's newest R95 micro RGB display. And it does things TVs should not be able to do. Near perfect blacks, brightness so intense if you stand close to it, you have to look away, and 100% color accuracy, which is pretty intense. The problem, it's the price of a car for a 130-inch screen that won't fit through like most people's doorways. Here I am about to drop $3,500 on an OLED that's supposed to be the best you can buy. But I've seen what's coming, and it's kind of making me second guess everything else in the TV world. So here's the question. Do you buy the best TV available right now, or wait 3 years for something that might stay out of reach?
And before I tell you a little bit more, I do want to tell you something that I can do for you. Give you a chance to win $500. This is like my favorite thing to do, a way to give back for supporting me all these years. First, watch the video all the way through. Give the video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Make sure there's a way to contact you either in the comments or on your YouTube page. Let it run for 10 days, open to anyone in the world.
So right now, only 4 companies are even making this new display tech. So Samsung and LG call it micro RGB. Hisense and TCL have their version, which they're calling RGB Mini-LED. And Sony's working on their own, but they haven't announced their acronym yet. I'm gonna stick with micro RGB because it's simple. I'll probably hate myself when micro LED comes out eventually. Too many acronyms in the TV space. But none of those new acronyms are OLED. They're still LCD screens, the same basic technology as most TVs, with a completely different backlight system behind them. So regular LED TVs, they shine white light through a panel and then use filters to create the colors that kind of pull it out of the white. Mini LED TVs do the same thing, just with smaller, more precise white LEDs. Micro RGB is totally different. Instead of the white LED that gets filtered, you've got microscopic red, green, and blue LEDs. These things are smaller than a human hair, like each one is creating its exact color directly. No color loss through filters, presumably no compromise either, just like pure, accurate light packed densely behind the LCD layer. That's how they're hitting sort of the color accuracy and brightness numbers that we've never seen before. So the result is staggering brightness. I remember a few years ago when I thought hitting 4,000 nits was crazy. Hisense's model hits 10,000 nits. Samsung is not confirming their nit brightness numbers, but I've seen both, and I'll probably put them pretty close to that 10,000 range. And I put that into context. Most high-end TVs today's top out at like 1,500 to 2,500-ish nits, and that's still like plenty for most living rooms. When you jump to 10,000, it changes things. It changes how HDR looks. Highlights no longer look bright. They like feel bright. You're watching a sunset and you can almost like sense the glare. Watching a movie, you see a car exploding in an action scene. You actually kind of squint a little. That's kind of like visceral jump you get from this level of luminance. And brightness is the only flex here. Samsung said its micro RGB sets cover 100% of the BT 2020 color space. That's the level that we're just starting to see on consumer TVs. Most displays hit 70 to 80% of that range. BT 2020, it's a wider color gamut than Rec 709, which has kind of been the long-standing color standard for like SDR content. So basically, it's been like most things you watch. BT 2020 allows for not just like more hues of color to be shown, but those colors also get way more vibrant. Kind of think of it like a canvas for sort of every color TV, 4K or AKBs of content should be able to produce. So when you hit 100%, you're not just seeing like better color, you're seeing the correct color. The color the cinematographer actually intended to show you. The Rams blue and yellow, exactly like they look like at SoFi Stadium. The deep orange of a sunset looks exactly like the camera captured it. Most TVs tend to oversaturate or miss certain shades entirely. This nails it. It's not about making colors pop, kind of about showing you what was actually there. And on top of that, these TVs use thousands of tiny local dimming zones, which dramatically boost contrast. So when I saw the Samsung demo, the blacks looked shockingly close to OLED. Not quite identical, but way beyond anything Mini-LED has managed so far. I want to take a quick break from TVs for a second. This video is sponsored by EcoFlow. I'm here at CES as one of their sort of smart home energy ambassadors. So EcoFlow is a name that's been around for a while. They just announced something called the Ecosystem Alliance. And those two words mean a huge amount They partner with over 15 brands, some of the biggest brands in the world in kind of home power and home automation. Google Nest, Bosch, Shelly, LG's Homey platform, and now everything talks to each other through one app. So that means your solar at your house, your battery, your appliances, all coordinated. The app shows you things like real-time energy flow, like where your solar is going, what's being used, what's hitting the battery, what's powering the house. You can set it to auto charge before a storm rolls in, or time of use mode to start cheap off-peak power and use it when sort of the rates are really high. On the hardware side, EcoFlow's got a ton. They've got options at pretty much every level. The Delta Pro Ultra X scales from 12 to 36 kilowatts for whole home backup. And if you want something sort of portable to take with you, the Delta 3 series puts out 3,600 watts and runs under 25 decibels. The Ocean Pro is a residential system pushing about 24 kilowatts continuous, which is huge. It's also pretty much double the industry standard. That's enough to run absolutely everything in your house at once. Here's the thing about kind of home energy though. This isn't like a phone. You're not upgrading, you're not swapping this thing out every year. When you put this system in your walls on your house, you want it to last. And you want it to last from a company that takes both tech and safety really seriously. And EcoFlow uses EV grade battery cells, and their residential units are passing certifications that most of the industry is not even attempting at this point. We installed EcoFlow's whole home setup at a friend's house, actually in a video last year. It was pretty awesome. If I'm putting a home power system in my house today, if I'm starting from scratch, it's EcoFlow. And that's not just like sponsor talk, that's just sort of where the tech is right now. So that's kind of the LED, LCD stuff. Let's talk about OLED for a second, because the new OLEDs I saw at CES make this whole thing very interesting. So OLED obviously works differently. Each pixel produces its own light. So each pixel needs to be black, it just turns off completely. That's why OLED can get infinite contrast. There's no bleeding through from a backlight because there's obviously not a backlight. It's also why OLED's viewing angles are perfect. No color shifts coming from the side. The latest 4th generation of QD OLEDs can get to around 2,500 nits in small highlight areas, and then usually like 440-ish nits across the full screen. Real world numbers are a bit lower, but even so, for like a self-emissive display, that's really incredible. So standing in front of Samsung's new R95 micro RGB TV, my first thought was, this looks incredible. My second was, still not OLED. The blacks were deep but not bottomless. You can still see a faint glow and high contrast things if you're looking for it. For most people, wouldn't notice. It's subtle, but it's there. The viewing angles are really good too, sort of better than most LED TVs, but not OLED good. Sort of moved off to the side and you start to lose a bit of contrast. It's on par with kind of high-end mini-LED TVs, which is impressive. And on the TL side, the viewing angles were really close to almost unlimited, and we were approaching really kind of OLED level. You don't have to sit right in front. If you're way off to the side, you had almost no color shift. And again, their blacks were really, really, really black. But certainly for like pure black levels, OLED still wins for movie nights with friends, kind of sitting all around the room in a really wide couch. Where micro RGB fights back though, is brightness, longevity, and durability. There's no organic material involved at all, so there's zero risk of burn-in. You can leave a static image up for hours, run sports stickers all day, or play games with hugs without ever having to worry about retention. That's a huge advantage for people who sort of keep their TVs on all day or use it in really bright spaces, kind of where OLED's contrast advantage doesn't matter as much. Your room matters here. If you've got a basement theater or sort of anywhere you can kill the lights, OLED is unbeatable. Nothing matches that kind of pure black level in a dark room. I watch a ton of movies with my kids at night, and OLED is as close as you can get to a cinematic experience kind of at home. And if you're gaming, which my kids and I do constantly, OLED's instant pixel response makes it the clear winner. But for TV sits in a bright room with windows everywhere and sunlight pouring in, that's a totally different story. I'm watching Rams games on Sunday afternoons, Laker games with the lights turned on, and the brightness starts to matter more than contrast in those situations. And that's where micro RGB really could dominate. The problem right now is price and availability. Samsung's trying to democratize the tech As of right now, we don't know the prices of those smaller sets. We do know that Samsung's micro RGB set costs $30,000 for a 115-inch display, if that tells you anything. That's not living room TV price, that's like an art installation. OLED, meanwhile, it gives you choices. You can pick up last year's really amazing LG B5 for like $700 on sale, or a C5 for like $1,200-ish, or the flagship G5 or Samsung's S95F in the $3,000-$3,500 range, all of which will get cheaper after 26 versions of those sets become available. The Samsung S95H is improving on nearly perfect S95F. The LG G6 and C6 are both sharing the same flagship processors and the new sort of brighter, hyper radiant panel. And TCL TVs, despite the technology and not being cheap, are starting to look more and more affordable because TCL makes their own panels. So, but we can look at past tech rollouts, I think, for clues. TCL launched the first Mini-LED TV back in 2019, and it cost around $2,000 for a 65-inch model. Which is high then. You can find similar, better TVs for half the price. Go back even further, 2015, when Sharp's first 8K TV launched for $133,000 for 85-inch model. Today you can buy an 85-inch 8K set for under $4,000. That's how fast LED-based tech scales down. LED manufacturing is simple and cheaper than OLED. The process is mature, the yield rates are higher, and it's sort of easier to scale. Once Samsung, Hisense, and Sony and TCL all ramp up production and start fighting for market share, prices are going to drop fast. OLED, by comparison, took way longer to fall in price because it's more delicate to produce and relies on fewer suppliers. So to be realistic, we're probably 18 to 24 months away from micro RGB showing up in smaller mainstream sizes. Maybe 3 years where it dips below 4,000 or 5,000, and then 4 to 5 years before it reaches that sweet spot of under $2,500 where premium OLEDs live today. That's a long time to wait, and the waiting comes with its own cost too. Let's say you hold off 3 years for micro RGB to hit your price range. That's 3 years of watching your current TV instead of something that's kind of already phenomenal. Thousands of hours of movies, games, sports you could have spent on a display that sort of blows your old one away. And even then, first generation products always come with quirks. They've got firmware bugs, calibration issues, or missing features that get fixed later. Meanwhile, OLED's rock solid. It's been refined for years and just keeps getting better. The LG G6 and Samsung S95H are incredible examples of that. Samsung's anti-reflective coating on the S95H solves one of OLED's biggest weaknesses, making it kind of far more usable in bright rooms. The color volume, contrast, overall picture quality are spectacular. Micro RGB will eventually, I think, own the title for brightness and durability, but OLED still owns for contrast and color depth and overall visual quality. Right now, your real choice isn't OLED versus micro RGB, it's kind of OLED versus Mini-LED. And depending on your room and budget, either could be the right pick. So that $3,500 OLED you buy, if you're outdated when micro RGB arrives, I don't think so. Future OLEDs might narrow the brightness gap with micro RGB while keeping all the contrast advantages. Still obviously a few years out, but the display race never stops. So here's I think the truth. If you're waiting for the perfect TV, you'll be waiting forever. There's always kind of something new on the horizon. Micro RGB today, full OLED tomorrow, and who knows what after that. The best TV is the one that you can buy right now. It makes you happy every time you turn it on. And for most people, it's still probably OLED.